each other accountable to not touch.
Are you supposed to just share with us?
Yeah, I wonder if the Dollar General
Okay, it's a little after 11, so we're gonna get started. Yes, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Normally, on these monthly meetings, we have an outside speaker. Today, we are the speakers. We're gonna do a little roundtable, talk about our successes, questions some of us may have. Maybe somebody else in the group has an answer. And can you, okay. Before we get started on that, we do have a few announcements. Next month, the meeting date is March 23rd, and in lieu of our usual meeting, we will have probably a short presentation that I'm hoping to be a demonstration, something hands-on. And once that's confirmed, we'll let everybody know. But that'll be our big plant sale plus day. So
Can you even ask for suggestions on that? From them, what
we can get them.
presentation?
Yeah, we can get them. So if some of you may already, if you've been engaged, may already have some seedlings started to donate for the plant sale. If you need to buy some plants, be ready for that. And it's a plant sale plus, so we also have a number of vendors who are gonna set up. It's free for vendors to set up at this event. We do require, because of we're a library program, and the library requires that any vendors there have a tax ID number. So I think Denise has a sign up somewhere back here. So after the meeting, if you wanna, if you are a vendor and wanna sign up for that, we can accommodate you on that.
Usually you can use your social security number as a tax ID.
I guess that we would have to ask the librarian that. I know in some cases that,
Yeah, 'cause
that's
they've
what
been
my husband used to do. It's a
That's
library regulation, so that's up to the library, so we'll ask them. And, don't know that there are any other announcements besides the plant sale plus.
Should go to Karen,
I'm not sure. So we will get started. I'm Karen Kerner. I'm the chairman of the program committee. So hosting this guy today. And I think we'd like to kind of go around the circle, introduce ourselves, tell everybody kind of what your interest or experience in gardening is, what your most recent success is, and then we'll kind of go around and start asking questions and sharing information. Do you want to start?
I'm Susie Cooper. I've gone through the Master Gardener and the Master Naturalist program. I go for the education. I don't have time to keep up the hours for the titles, but I love gardening. One of my biggest, what she was saying, the good things that happen with your gardening are bad. My problem is the motivation to get going. We have a greenhouse. We have a lot of plants. I'm here for the motivation to get into gardening and meet nice, like-minded people that have, gardening issues or whatever. And that's it.
Okay. Any big successes you want to boast about?
Our yard, I think, because we're only on like a little over half an acre. And we've got a little tropical area and a xeriscape area and a native area. So we're on the side of a hill on rocks, and so everything's basically bermed or put
You got
in.
olive trees, right?
We do have some olives.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we have olives and plums and apples and pears and in that little bitty area. And we have so much fun. And it's like probably Ron knows, because he does a lot of gardening. It's like you get a fever, when you get excited about it. I need to start getting back into it, fertilizing my peaches and that's all.
Thank you, Susie. I'm Karen. Been here in South Texas for 35, 40 years, I guess. 40. moved from Illinois, where if you throw the seeds in the direction of the dirt, things grow. And this is way different, and I'm still trying to adjust to this. So I've got several raised beds, keyhole, most of them are keyhole gardens, which are supposed to be great in dry areas. Of the concept originated in Africa, where they don't have much water, much rainfall. So supposedly that works. Some years it works better than others for me. Successes, last year my lettuce was fantastic in the early spring, although my tomatoes failed miserably. And active here because I want to learn more.
Mary Alice Hendricks, and we've been here about 2 years. So I'm from mostly Portland, so Pacific Northwest, and there's lots of rain and lots of green grass, and then we were in Southern California for 20 years, so more tropical, but here it's mostly rocks, and they kept horses at this place. We have 12 acres, and it's mostly rock, but in the lower area, we think there might have been, it's good dirt, because there's a little creek, a little wet weather creek, so we think the dirt may have come down from the hill, and we think it's good dirt down there. We just planted 22 trees, and I'm twice a week. They're post oak and bur oak. We don't want to break these 12 acres, so that's why I also went through the Master Naturalist program. So Susie and I think we'll be the native planting voices when the teaching garden gets going, and there's work all the time going on for that. And but successes in the well, I had a fantastic fairy tale pumpkin. Do you remember the very first meeting I was at, like a year or so ago, with someone brought some fairy tale pumpkins, and it's like, well, I'm gonna put, so I got the sprouts, and they went in, and we had a little protected area, and so my success was also my failure, because those are trailing vines, and so they immediately went outside my little protected enclosure and then got nipped everywhere. So, but the other thing that I really can't figure out that has not worked for several iterations is I can't seem to get my seed. I can get good sprouts, but I can't get them in the garden. They don't live once they. They might live, but they stay exactly the same height. They never get another set of leaves. They just stay. So I gotta.
Are you talking tomatoes, or what are you talking?
No, carrots. The kale came up, but the little caterpillars did their little worms on it, and pretty soon all I had was just the single vein, and so I did tomatoes also. I did try to do some, anyway, I tried a whole bunch of stuff, and I get really lakey seedlings, but then they don't survive but for a week out there, and so they're still there, so I don't think they're just dead on the ground. So I don't think anything's what's that?
You've amended the soil.
It's a raised bed,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, I would love to figure out that plus many other things.
I'm Anissa Scott, and I've been here a year. I have some property on South Lake Medina, in Brandon Cove, and then some acreage behind the lot. We just love the hill country, and I'm like tickled pink to come here. I still have my home in North Texas, so I have a home in Wichita Falls, which is another kind of air base town or city. I completed the Master Gardener program and really enjoyed that, but the Naturalist program is really me, and I'd love to learn more about it. since I'm going back and forth, well, talk about success. I could dominate this whole meeting and I'm gonna restrain myself. I'd love to get to know everyone. Yeah, I'd love to come to meetings to be with like-minded people. I was so excited to start some seedlings and they did wonderfully, but the problem is when you have plants, you have to maintain and water, and my traveling back and forth is not conducive to that. And also, I have a lot of wonderful deer, so I'm going to pass on being the growing flowers and things. I would like to take more of a naturalist approach and just appreciate what grows naturally. I am having the best time with the Naturalist app on my phone and discovering all these wonderful wildflowers. So that's just a treat for me. And I think I better just pass it on. So
I grew up on a farm, so I have a natural feeling for wanting to grow things. It's just in me, because I grew up in the fields and I was doing work and I got to nurture them along. And then life came along. And it wasn't until later on when we moved down here where I had some raised beds, but I was working in a different city and I was away a lot. So when I retired to take care of my husband, I got what's called this wicking system, the grow boxes, because I could just put the water in, it sort of took care of themselves. So I have had some luck and I have had some problems, but I'm just here to hear what everybody else is working on and see, how I can expand what I'm doing. Right now it's just tomatoes, herbs. I tried squash. Didn't like the heat. And that's my story.
I'm Terry Akers. I've been in the area since the 90s, I guess, but I'm a San Antonio girl. Love the gardening. I started in pots. I've expanded into herbs. Last year I had an herb garden. Had a good time with the big old caterpillars eating everything, but they were so pretty. I was deciding, do I kill it, do I not? So I just let everything go. I don't use any poisons, anything toxic in my garden. Well, I say nothing toxic. I do use vinegar and things like that, but I try to stay natural. Successes, I've done pots for the last probably 10 years, tomatoes and things, and this year, or the last year, I did them in a raised garden, and they got huge. I mean, they suffered through the heat of 120, and then in October, it's like God just blessed me with like 80, 90 tomatoes. I just had them coming out of everywhere, so I had a blast in the fall. My husband hates the garden, so that's always a battle, because I gotta make it look clean, and it's impossible when I had herbs and tomatoes. The stock was like huge. I used cow manure, and it was wonderful. So I had a really good experience. I'm looking forward to learning from all of you, because I get so excited. So it's exciting. It's tough because of the weather and the restrictions on our water, and I really struggled with that. I was catching rainwater in my trash cans whenever I could, just so that I didn't have to stop watering. Because I just felt pressure from everyone, like, you're not supposed to water, but I feel like Fiesta, Texas is going, so if they're going, I'm gonna water my tomatoes. That's the way I see it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's, so I try to make these meetings for the past year, and it's just been nuts. I barely made today, so I'm excited to learn from y'all. And I did talk to you, I'm a neighbor on the app, so I'm glad to meet you today.
Terry, your tomatoes that came back in October, were those tomatoes you had planted in the spring that revived?
I kept them alive through, I was watering. Like they can't see, my stalks were like 10 feet high. It was crazy. They even went over, because I'm on a hill.
Did you shade them?
Yes. I bought I must have been gauze. I don't know what I bought, but I bought something on Amazon, my poor husband, he hates it, but he helped me. And don't you know, it started to dissolve. I think we had a rain, and it looked like someone just threw trash in my yard, so my husband went nuts. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick it all up. But it just, they survived. I'm just thrilled that I got such a gift. October, I had to kill them literally. They wouldn't go away. The tomatoes just kept coming. I pulled 80 of them green, and then just laid them, just rotated them on my windows. It was so fun. And I tell you, I was giving them away, and I had all kinds. Those little bitty ones are like mint. You know, the little bitty, they're not really grape tomatoes, they're kind of smaller than that, or cherry tomato. But I think I got 100 volunteers last year. And do you know the ones I gave them all away because it was too many tomatoes. So I kept digging them up and putting them in little pots. And everyone that I knew, I'd give them tomatoes, you know, and they're still coming to me, say, those tomatoes won't die, they keep coming. So,
You need to save the seeds.
I do,
Yes.
and I'll share them with y'all.
Yeah.
Do you know, I knew a missionary lady that I met, she's now in Panama, and she used to do her own, she made her own soil, everything right there at the apartment complex where I met her, because we were building out here in Bandera. Anyway, she gave me that tomato. It's a little bitty, but they grew so big, and I'm like, well, that's not the tomato. You know, they were tiny, and now they're like a cherry.
What color were they?
Happy.
Were they red?
Red.
Okay. I had good luck with, they're like pear-shaped orange.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they're so sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like candy.
It's funny you say that. The kids say that when they come over to pick. I just let them go in the garden and lose themselves because there's so many. I'm like, and this year I will bring y'all some because
Next
I just
month.
redid the beds and
Next
those
month, we're
little
doing our
tomatoes.
we're doing our plant exchange and sell,
Yay.
so.
No, I like to give them. I give everything away. Well, are we all raising money?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's for donations,
that's great. Yes, yes.
so we can get started on the teaching gardens. Anyway,
Oh, I'm Jonna Carpenter, I live in Bandera, and I have the same story as you do about struggles trying to get things ready, but this year we're kind of ahead of the game. Weeding the yard, have some raised beds, started some tomatoes in I call it my gourd house, it's not a greenhouse, I wish I had a greenhouse. I put grow lights in, so every winter I haul my plants in the barn, which my husband doesn't like, but it's so nice to take them all out, you don't have to go buy new. Mostly ferns, we have a Meyer lemon tree,
Oh,
successful with 5 lemons.
Yay.
It was a new plant.
I know what that feels
So
like.
we got 5 lemons off that tree.
How old is the tree now?
It's going on its 2nd year.
Oh, wow.
My mom lives with me. So we kinda, I just started pulling everything out of the barns this morning. And I have some mint that survived the winter. So the grow lights, if you wanna keep things alive, I put things in my gourd house and in the barn with grow lights, and they love it. And I have an aloe vera plant that's gonna bloom. It has a big spike on it right now, and I've never seen that type of aloe vera bloom ever. It's really interesting, but, and I have some tomatoes coming up, and I learned in the last class we were in that, and I try to nurse mine all summer. I know that water thing is just horrible.
It's terrible.
But I have 2 1,500-gallon water tanks now, so I'm sparing water.
Nice.
But, they're starting to come up. So I hope I have extra to bring, but I'm kinda I have some leeks coming up. Garlic is doing great right now. And it's some onions and some potatoes, but they haven't done anything. And I've not ever been real successful with potatoes, but I thought I'd try it again. And what else? And we're gonna be here for the thing next week, or next month, and we'll be bringing some gourds.
Oh, great.
We do gourd art, and we'll bring some gourd seeds. We have a lot of seeds of some really weird shapes, if anybody's interested in growing those, they're kind of fun. They take a long time to do anything with, but they're kind of fun. So we'll be here. I don't know anything else.
You just need to pick a spot.
Yeah,
I've been emailing back and forth with you,
yeah,
so it's over there where you can
I
sign
brought
up.
it, I brought everything today, so we'll be here.
Great.
The library talks to us.
And I'm glad to be here and meet everybody. I've only been to one meeting and it's been nice. And I learned something last month. Not to just beat yourself up that your tomatoes aren't growing also. But you sound like you had a good,
And the zucchini.
oh my gosh.
The struggle is real.
I know,
Struggle is
I
real.
was just like, why aren't you giving me tomatoes?
I know, we blame ourselves. I'm doing
And I'm like,
something
oh,
wrong.
it's the heat and
Yeah.
lack of water, no rain, so. We'll see what happens this year.
And my son said you prune tomatoes.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
You
I
can't.
never
Yeah.
pruned them,
I
so
prune
that
mine.
was.
Do you prune them? That's why you have so many. Yeah.
Probably.
Are you
I'm
talking
learning,
about
I'm bigger
suckering or
ones
pruning?
Both. I do remove the suckers and I remove all the, some of the new growth once they get too big.
Oh, yeah.
Cause they were at 15, 20 feet tall, and I was telling you, they went over.
Wow.
It's
But I
crazy.
think it's the case that you can prune
Up to the first fruit.
indeterminate, but you should not prune determinate
No.
tomatoes, and that's,
Yeah,
the determinate ones are more bushy and,
and stay low to the ground.
but those real tall ones.
Well, how do you know? Cause I'm,
Typically,
well, I guess you all
you
will tell
prune
me.
up to the first fruit. And then after it sits, then you keep pruning up to the next fruit. If you're trellising.
I do. I prune right when I plant, is what I just cut everything off all the way to the top. And just left the top.
Did you bury the?
Yes,
So that's
to
what
maybe a
I'm
few
curious
inches underneath the, like a deep berry, they say that the, I don't know, I'm learning, so. I I fail and then I succeed, and so it's just figuring out, that's why I need y'all. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, cause I'm trying
Sound like you're
different
doing
things.
Yeah.
This year I did.
Different.
This year I did really
You
good.
can stop now.
Yeah.
I did have.
Now she's just bragging.
Ron, would it be correct to say determinate tomatoes do not have suckers?
Oh, yeah, they have suckers, but
Oh,
it's,
they do, okay.
but it just helps, shade the rest of the tomatoes.
I did that wrong. I did too much because some of them were burning. Once they fruited, so maybe don't trim too much. That, I know I did.
And doesn't that also help with the size, Ron? When you're pruning it, the size, the growth is gonna go to the tomato.
I got some this big,
Yeah.
but they were like heirloom, I guess. I had different tomatoes, so I'm sure that's why. It's the cow poop. I'm telling y'all,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
that was a miracle.
that's what I'm gonna do this year. I bought dirt. I did half garden soil and half manure and have them.
Does anyone have cows?
Well, it's hard though to break up that cow manure because I did gather some.
Cause I'd like to get something fresh other than in a bag. I heard
Well,
that
my
they
neighbor's
process it.
longhorns, broke out and they were all over.
Oh.
So, yeah, when I'm like, there's cow, this is cow. Yeah, so I have a lot of cow.
Let us know how you can make it fine. It's hard. Yeah.
I'm Ann and I'm her mother, and we live together, so she covered everything that goes on in our place, including the gourds.
She loves to do gourds.
Yeah,
That's her
the
thing.
gourds.
I'm Ron Estes, I live off Roebuck Road, been here a couple of years. I was raised by my grandmother and she had the greenest thumb in the world and I caught it. I grow pretty much anything. The soil here is terrible, so everybody talks about raised beds and that's the way to go, or earth boxes. I'm growing, blackberries now in wicking tubs. And I have blackberries that are 6 foot tall, that have been in those wicking tubs for a year. And they're doing really well. And I find the wicking tubs, are great for larger type plants. For the smaller plants, roots don't go down far enough usually to make a really big difference for a grow box. So usually a larger plant is better for,
Do you make your own?
I build them myself.
Yep, okay, just like a bucket in a bucket, so to speak.
If you can get these ranchers all have, protein tubs, and those protein tubs are perfect to make, wicking tubs in.
Cause I'd love to grow berries, but I didn't think I had the ability to down here.
I ended up having to shade mine this summer.
Okay.
Other than that, you can grow them fine.
And how deep are your wicking?
The tubs are about that tall. And so you got a water pocket in the bottom and then dirt. And I grow all kinds of vegetables. I sell all of my produce to, the bistro in Pike Creek.
Oh.
So he buys all my greens and whatever I grow, he buys. One
Organic,
thing,
right?
people talk about in the dead of summer that you can't grow anything. Well, actually, if you like eggplant, you can grow eggplant all through the summer. They love, just like okra. So if you want a vegetable that you can grow all summer, get you some, and buy the eggplant seeds that are long, the eggplants are long and narrow, because they ripen quicker.
Not that people
And
buy.
stagger them, and you'll have them all through the summer if you want them. Baker Creek Seeds catalog is where I buy mine.
Ron, are you all organic?
Yes. The only thing I don't grow organic is the berries. I just can't get enough goodies to them.
So when we get them, if they weren't grown organic, then they're done, right? I mean, you can't make them organic.
I propagate it, I cut off a growing plant and propagate it, and that's what you're gonna get.
Okay.
So the plant doesn't care.
Yeah.
And you feed them a lot, right?
Excuse me?
Heavy feeders?
Yeah. That's about my story.
Well, I'm Philip Stein. I'm fourth generation to the area. Grew up gardening, making all kinds of mistakes, but had some successes, and that's gardening. But as far as tomatoes go, that's my favorite. I've got a big pan with, I think, about 8-gallon pots, and I have about 10 of them, and all fenced off. I only grow celebrities because I've tried with the other heirloom and other kinds, and I haven't had much luck with those. But celebrities just keep producing for me, and even last year in the heat, I had a pretty good crop. The previous year, I didn't have anything though, and they just wouldn't set. Plants were healthy, but they just wouldn't set because of the heat. And that's the only difficulty I've had with those. My goal, I've got 10 acres out here at Medina River Ranch, and my goal is to put as many native variety trees and as I can find. I've had some successes there. Had a nice madrona, but it didn't, after it was about 8 feet tall, the freeze killed it a couple of years ago. Was a disappointment. But I've got another big pen where I'm always digging up little trees and cutting, getting starts off other people's plants. And one thing I've done is I've got about 5 pineapple plants now. They're about 3 years old, and I'm hoping maybe to get something off of those in another year or so. But I was surprised that they grew up. It was just a kind of a experiment. Put them in the dirt, see what they'll do.
How big
And-
are they?
Pardon?
How big are they?
Oh, they're only about this tall.
But the fruit, do you have fruit?
Oh, I haven't had any fruit yet.
cause it takes
Take a
2
while.
years to grow a pineapple, is what I've heard. Once you get it, we've got them, and they grow about this big, and when you're moving them in and out for the winter, it falls off. And so, we've only gotten them to grow the fruit.
That's as far as I've
Yeah, but they're fun. Careful.
And I enjoy growing anything. I've got all sorts of bulbs, flowers. Daffodils are starting. It's always nice to see those in the spring come up smiling at you while it's still cold. And my son has a little 3-year-old daughter, and right now they've invited a friend from San Antonio over, a little boy who lives in the city, and his mom wants him to be more countrified, and so what they're doing today is they're putting a bunch of potting salt, etc., in little cups and containers, and gonna start the seeds and everything, and get ready. And I was really surprised last year when he went out and did a lot of work to start a garden, to show her and bring her down there every day to water, and they grew a lot of stuff, so we're just gonna expand on that this year. I guess that's our biggest success.
That's the future.
Yeah.
That is the future. Awesome. That's cool.
What do you do with all your tomatoes? Do you can them?
I sun dry them, and yeah, just put them in Ziploc bags, keep them in the freezer, and put them in soups and all kinds of things.
And actually sun dry them, or do you use a dehydrator?
Sun dry.
We got that.
Yeah, we do have that. And I will, I've got a couple of grids, they're about 3.5 by 3.5, and I'll sit those in the back of the truck so that the deer don't get into them. And then it's got that black liner, so that helps heat them up, and it takes about 2 days. And all I do is sprinkle a little salt on them, slice them up, and let them go.
Do you dry them already sliced?
I slice them,
Okay.
sprinkle a little salt, and then one day on one side, flip them over, let the sun get the other side, and
So it's on a solid pan, not a wire rack?
it is a wire.
Okay.
It is a wire rack, yeah. And they'll sit up about, they've got legs about that high, so they've got lots of airflow and everything. It's easy enough to do, and it gives me a good supply of tomatoes.
You can pack them in olive oil too. The sun-dried tomatoes, pack them in olive oil and they'll keep forever.
It's good to know.
Let's eat them. Let's eat them.
And I guess that's about it.
Thank you. Should I have my little maples and the other tree on a concho? Should they have sprouted by now?
Well,
I put them in right after you gave them to me. With a little.
it may take them a little longer. They're pretty quick. The anaconcha orchids are pretty quick. The maples, this is the first year that the tree had seeds on it.
Wow.
So I just collected a bunch of them. I put some of them in the dirt, and so that's a wait and see thing.
Okay, I'm still waiting. Okay, I'm Sheila Harris, and a native of Texas, nearly second generation, maybe third, depending on when you start counting. And if I know everything about the past, but anyway, it's South Texas though, so again, you can throw the seeds in the direction of the soil and it comes up, but here's the challenge. I get my vegetables at HEB, because there's too much work for me and I am not very successful, but I like the naturalist approach, just taking what nature's given me and seeing if I can perk it up and help it along. The house that we bought had, how do you say that, zoysia grass or something like that. Thirsty as all get out. So I just put some of my old St. Augustine in. I don't mow it, so it's my meadow now, and the dog loves to roll in it and enjoy. So I just enhance nature. I'm kind of a lazy gardener, actually. But has any of you ever lost your phone or your clippers or anything in the garden and wondered where they were? Well, let me remedy that.
That's a sales pitch.
So here's the phone, and I have 3 more of these. One of my quilter friends made these, and so we're gonna, if you buy them, we will put that money to that teaching garden, so we can also work with the future.
I'd like to reserve one of those, please.
All right, got it, okay, right here.
And we're gonna put Sheila on the spot a little bit more. She's the head of the teaching garden subcommittee. So, we are making progress toward that all the time, and she'll be telling us a little more about, in the next few weeks, months, et
You got
cetera.
announcements in a
What-
little bit there.
Yeah, what the next steps are, because we're getting close to the time when we need more hands on deck to
Yeah.
get the planning's nearing the end and the work is gonna begin.
Good time. My name is Amy Bevan. My boyfriend and I have lived here for about 2 years now. We came from California, Southern California, and during COVID, we got crazy into gardening. It was like so nice. And then, so then a few years later found ourselves here. We kind of chose sort of Texas. First of all, we didn't know we were meant to be Texans. So that was cool to find out. Like we get here and we're like, oh, this is where we're supposed to live, like all of our lives. And then hill country on top of it. I've lived in cities. I'm also countrifying myself. I've been to like turkey processing now, like live turkey processing. I'm going all in. So I'm kind of here as a sponge to soak everything in. And yeah, getting into the dirt is just like life changing, and just the nature that we have around here. And I have missed the boat the last couple of years on getting a wildflower meadow going. Although I did find out last year that we had a natural wildflower meadow going across the wet weather creek. And not that we got any wet weather, but we still had wildflowers, and so I was so excited about that. So I want to kind of learn more and do an official kind of seeding next year. So I'm excited about that. Our recent successes, so we just started, we have a raised bed. We have one raised bed, and it has been through so many iterations of like cinder blocks and dirt and stones, and like my boyfriend's like very like, he wants to get it perfect. So we're going to Home Depot after this to go get some different supplies to change things up, and PVC pipe to get, the deer, get a lid over it and stuff. We're gonna do tomatoes, and I'm also gonna try to seed some of those, the basil that I think you had brought us, or somebody brought basil, and then like you said, the orchids and the tree, yep. So I'm excited about that. So our 2 successes have been a loquat tree, which we just randomly bought when we got here at HEB. We had a loquat tree in San Diego that was just amazing, and I would make like loquat jam out of it, which was more hassle than it was worth. Like there's such big seeds in them, and it's like you have to pick so many to get like a jam, but sitting there eating my peanut butter and jelly with the loquat tree was like pretty awesome. So, and then we got started early on chickens. So we now have 8 chickens, and we're getting like 6 or 7 eggs a day, and couldn't be happier about that. So yeah, just looking for, I also sell granola at the Lakehills Farmers Market, and I'll be here selling granola next month.
Are your loquats blooming?
Very good.
It's been called crack granola, but I don't think that's a good
Have you
name for
gotten
it.
fruit off your loquat?
Yeah, that's a question I had.
Yeah.
So
And then
no.
it freezes in January and then
Yeah,
it's
they-
nothing.
So, yeah, go
They
ahead.
don't do well here in the
I believe
winter.
it, I believe it.
If you,
We got
in
ours
Corpus
through
Christi,
winter.
you can
Yeah.
grow loquats like crazy,
Really?
periods, not.
More
not so
tropical down
easy.
there. That's what we're finding is kind of the difference between San Diego in
Oh,
like
yes.
the elevation. Like here we get the subtropic mixed with the desert, whereas San Diego, it was like
You got cool
we were
weather all the time.
inland, and so we got the hot weather, but not quite, yeah, exactly, not 120 for like 2 weeks straight. But we got our loquat in the ground, I forget, it was a bad time to plant it. It was like end of summer or something. But it's getting new, it's growing still, so we're kind of excited about that. at least if we get leaves.
They're showy, they're very pretty.
Yeah, I
don't
have
even
mature
need
ones
birds.
in my yard, I mean,
Yeah.
the trunks that somebody planted city and fruit and everything, but you
Really?
gotta beat the birds.
The birds, the deer, we have it like fenced off, but yeah, it's gonna be a long-term
Yes.
project, but it's, you know, it's
It's
fun.
worth it.
Yeah, fun to see the growth of it and figure out what to do with the bugs. All that good stuff.
My turn? Denise Gober. I've been here since '97. I just started gardening once I retired from work, really. I mean, I've been trying it for a few years, but I'm like a black thumb. So we're supposed to do 2 successes or something?
Well, if you have a success.
Okay, I missed that
What's
part.
your experience is?
Okay, so, well, one of the successes as far as wildflower meadows and things like that for the pollinators, I have a bunch of corn, is it cowpen daisies
You
that
brought
grow.
seeds for that.
Yeah, and they come back every year by themselves, you don't have to do anything, and the pollinators love them,
Okay.
and they grow tall, right? In fact, we just finished cutting them all back, right? Cause I don't think we're gonna have another freeze, what do you think, Ron? I don't think we are either. In fact, I'm thinking about just going ahead and putting my tomatoes in the ground, just daring it to freeze.
I've had tomatoes in the ground for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, wow.
Yeah, well, we've been debating it on next door. Anyway, so I can't take credit for the cowpen daisies, okay, they just showed up. As far as other successes, I actually still have parsley that made it over the winter, growing in one of my raised beds. My dill did really great, and I've already got volunteers coming up from that. What else? Tomatoes, I did terrible last year. I didn't even get a single tomato. But I got a bunch of seedlings that we'll bring to the thing next month. And what else? I'm trying to think. Oh, Meyer lemon tree. My brother planted some in the ground 2 years ago and they all died. But one I had in a pot, and I've been taking it back and forth in between the barn, and it has beautiful blooms all over it. Yeah, so
Remembering pie.
I might be able to get a lemon or something off of it.
Do you need a bee?
Yes.
Don't
You
you
know,
need a bee?
pollinators.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and so I took it out of the barn and put it
Okay,
back
there you
in the raised bed, and then the blooms started falling off, so. So I don't know what that
Fruit's
means.
coming out, now the fruit's
But the
coming
bees are out. I feed the bees at my place. I have beehives in the back of the
Yeah.
pasture, but I got, pans I feed sugar water to my bees every day. And they swarm around my head. But they're nice bees.
They're Winnie the Pooh bees.
Winnie the Pooh bees, yes.
Yes.
They just
They're
swarm
not
around.
mean.
Yeah, and Mary Alice came over and looked at those gutters, and I think we're gonna be able to use some of them, but I don't think it's enough. I just went out there and looked at that. I don't think I had enough, but
We
anyway.
need 40,
Yeah.
and there's 20, yeah.
Anyway, that's me. Nice to meet all y'all. And see all y'all.
I'm Bonnie Irwin, and I have some bees for you if you wanna come and help me. They're like a swarm of bees in these, I can't think of the name, boxwood type trees, and from the time I get to my car to my door, I'm allergic. I don't wanna get stung, so I need to find somebody who
I got a
wants
guy.
them.
I got a guy.
Can I get with you?
His name is Richard Holmes. He
Okay.
did a whole bee presentation
Okay.
here. His father just passed away. He's in California, so
Okay.
I don't know when he's getting back. But when he does,
Okay.
yeah, he'll probably get to a meeting, probably next
Do
month.
I have more questions because I don't have any successes yet, but do the bees, sometimes they just move on? I don't wanna hurt them.
Yeah,
When they're not happy in the hive, they'll branch
If
off.
it's too hot, or ants found the honey, they'll swarm, and then they'll go. But you don't know how long they're gonna stay in the swarm.
Right.
Like we had a swarm that was as big as a pillowcase, many bees thick, and then all of a sudden one day it was there, and then some weeks later, it was gone. And then it just turned out that it was closer to the house in a different tree. And so the bee guy said, they're gonna swarm away, and the next place to go is in your house, is in the eaves. So we just had somebody come out and knock it into a big garbage can, and then he took it away, cause it was a full, they needed to separate, for some reason they left that dead tree. Either they got too big, and there's a second queen, or it's too hot, or the ants found the honey and overcame the hive, so.
This one's really too close to my front porch,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do the wrong thing, but if I'll get with you and you will help me with that.
Yeah, I'll get you in touch with Richard.
Another, I have more questions than, I'm just here to learn, but, I've been having a lot of raccoon problems and, squirrel problems. So on the squirrel trap right now, I have a little cup with sunflower seeds in them, and, they started to grow on my septic.
That's a success.
And it's a success, and I'm making, oh, they're beautiful, they're cute little, about this tall, and they're also growing in the little cup inside. I just left those alone. So one of my questions is, I have a feeling I'm gonna be joyfully seeing these sunflower seeds, but do they have roots?
You know, mine just grew up. Where I feed my birds, I had one that was probably 5 feet tall, right next to my bird feeder. It eventually died back when it froze, and there was a couple, 3 of them there, but that was the tallest one, and that's just because the cardinals.
So it sounds like you're concerned
I
the
haven't
roots may
pulled it up.
interfere with the
I haven't
septic.
pulled it up.
They're not that deep.
Oh,
No, they won't. No, it's different, like if it's trees, well, yeah, but no, those sunflower roots won't.
Not
Those
so
will,
much
they'll
more.
gladly grow over the septic.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah,
And I had to relocate because they finally trapped the raccoon. The biggest I've never seen a raccoon before, but this was, according to him, the biggest, only one other that he's trapped. Apple Pest Control was this big. It looked like a dog.
Yeah, we have big ones.
And he had to
We
put
have
on
big
a large trap. That took like 2+ weeks. Like $1,000 later, the raccoon did all kind of damage to the cedar siding.
Yes.
So now I have to get somebody out to fix that, but in the meantime, since the raccoon has been trapped, the squirrels have moved back in. So they have chewed against the cedar siding and the roof, made some holes, and I'm trying to trap the squirrel right now. That's when I noticed, I moved it over to that other side of the home, thinking that the squirrel is gonna come in and eat that green sunflower seed, if not the dry ones, but nothing yet. It's been about.
Need a dog.
Yeah, that's
I was
what
just saying,
First,
my raccoons don't come around my house.
Don't like noise. I have a radio that I put on my patio. Someone told me they don't like music. I haven't had, the raccoons would come all the way into the porch area, pull out all my plants out of the pots. Had babies, I mean, you can see them on a camera. It's the cutest thing, but they're destructive.
They're
And
very,
the
very
music
aggressive.
works.
Especially with the cedar siding.
Just have it really low on the
Music.
patio, 24/7. The
and my
raccoons-
next door neighbor uses, she went and got the red light, it's at night. And it's a red light, I think she got it on Amazon for some ridiculously low price. And it sort of blinks, and the raccoons have left her porch. They have left the area.
That's raccoons, not
And now they're on our.
Oh.
But no, but for the raccoons, but I'm wondering if it would work for squirrels, but it does work for raccoons.
I have some, but they're quite old. I need to replace those.
I thought I had a raccoon problem because something was digging in all of my beds and digging in my compost pile. And I'm sure it's a raccoon. I put out a trap and I caught a ringtail cat.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, that's what you're gonna have to watch with your chickens.
Yeah.
We have 20 chickens.
Yes, we do.
And we have, our chickens they're totally covered up with fencing. And it's very deep down into the ground.
Yep,
And but one night, a ringtail cat got in there.
yeah.
And they, it was not good.
We
So
definitely.
we haven't had problems with raccoons or anything else, but a ringtail cat we did.
I have a question about that ringtail cat. I had one that we trapped and I let it go because I thought it was a regular cat. Is it bad?
No, they're not, they're not bad, but if you have, like chickens and things like that, they like to go in and eat the chickens
Gosh, I let that one
and the
go.
eggs.
You ever seen that tomato arbor?
We free range them, so we're we're kind of at the point where we're like, they could die.
Well, we can't free range unless we're out there,
Okay.
because where we're at, we have fox.
We have a lot of
There's
trees
some
that help
other.
keep them
That way,
away,
yeah.
yeah, from the hawks, but we had one hawk that, I think it was sick, I think
All the way
it
up to
swooped
the
in towards
roof.
our porch,
And
like
we
towards
those
us,
off a
we
slice
were out
of
there,
tomato.
so it's
Plan on a
terrified
slice of
chickens, but
tomato.
yeah, we have a fox that comes around.
Yeah, we have a fox den on our property.
We haven't, I mean, we haven't gotten any killers at this point.
You know what, I have, to be honest with you, I've never, ever had a fox bother the chickens.
Really? Okay.
No.
Alrighty, so
I'm more worried about ring-tailed cats than.
our issue was, we don't have a fence up in front of us, and we're on a private drive, but a chicken got run over by a guy in his trailer.
Oh.
He was like, here's a checkbook, let me write you a check, and we're like, punch!
You got a name.
My son from Punch Money.
Family.
So your chickens are really free range, they're going into the road and.
Well, so it's a private road, so not a lot of people come onto the road, and we chase
it
them
is
off the
road.
road pretty often, but it is kind of one of those things, it's like you do kind of have to decide, like, we put them in overnight in the coop and stuff like that, you know, like a couple hours before sunset, and then we let them out like a couple hours after sunset. They love it. You go in the backyard, they just like hum around the
You may go.
My boyfriend has more emotional attachment to this than I do. He just cracks up.
And if they're just laying eggs, you're not ever gonna eat them.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably do
Not the,
So
yeah.
we'll need
Good, yeah, lucky she didn't miss it.
Okay, we'll,
Deb.
get a few words from Deb, and then we'll kind of open it up to questions or other comments for a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Debbie Rill, and, I had some library board duties today, so that's why I'm trying to be in two places at once. We have lived there since 2000, I guess I have to like 2008. We have an apple orchard, and with lots of peach and plum and pear trees. And, we were being pretty successful with our apple orchard. But when we had the big freeze in February, 2 years ago, the year before, whatever it was called, we lost quite a few of our apple trees. And they're miniature apple trees, and they're from Medina, so that's why we planted them, because they're, good for this climate and stuff. But, we still struggle. So, and we have help from Mr. Larry Stein from the agriculture, and we have, people come out and help us with it, but we had like 18, miniature apple trees, and I think we're down now to like 10, so anyway, so that was a little bit sad, but,
On the ground?
yeah, we did try, we've had everything, we've done everything, so anyway, that particular part of our property is in a valley, so I don't know if it has to do with airflow, maybe. But anyway, and we have chickens, we have, lots of chickens, and we have, 2 raised beds, and then an asparagus bed. And so, we do really good with our raised beds, and, but last summer, our tomatoes, no tomatoes. We got some, but it's not like prolific, and I think it was just those heat days and stuff. So, this year, I'm planting on the lakeside. I'm gonna do all native, Texas native perennials, and I'm gonna start using the Oyas, in those beds, they're like troughs. And then I'm going to experiment this year in the raised beds with in-ground, worm, compost. So to get more worms into my raised beds, and then, as you put water in there, all those nutrients go off into the plants. So as a natural fertilizer. So those are two things I'm going to try. And I'll let you know if it's a success next time.
Are you buying worm castings, is that what you said?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna buy red wigglers.
The worms themselves?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy them.
I grow them,
Do you have them?
and you use the castings.
Uh-huh, that's what we're gonna do, yeah.
But I take the castings and, put them in a bag in a 5-gallon bucket and get all the juice out of them and use that to water with.
Yeah, that's what we make. Sometimes, a gentleman was telling me he makes, a tea out of his worm castings and just, pours it and stuff too. But I like to compost, but I wanna try this and see, so it'll help me with compost. But now that I have chickens, we haven't composted like we used to, because our chickens like the different garden scraps and.
They eat it all, that's for sure.
Yeah, they,
The problem I have with making compost is to able to get good grass clippings, cause nobody has any grass.
Yes, exactly.
Because you need that grass to get things going.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, we're gonna try this in ground and see how that works.
Do they bag it?
My
Do you
husband
bag
doesn't know it yet, but that's what we're gonna try. So anyway.
I used worm casings in my soil.
But I really want the red worm, I want the worms in there. I don't think I have enough worms.
So you
in
buy
there.
a live worm?
There's a gentleman that sells them in, Hollywood Park in San Antonio.
There's a guy right down the road here that sells them.
Oh, good, I'd rather do that.
Who is that?
Do you know who it
I'll
is,
have to
Mr. Estes?
get you the name.
Okay, thank you.
He's got
Okay.
a big worm farm here.
Oh, good, yes.
It's between here and Pike Creek off this road.
Okay.
I asked yesterday at Rainbow Gardens if they had the worms, and she said no, but she does the scheduling, and she was gonna schedule a group class on growing them.
Yes, I have it down in my book, I think it's
So I was
March
thinking-
6th or something.
Yeah, well,
And she had composting.
Yeah,
Okay, I was
these are
going for
growing
one
the
on
worms,
composting.
yeah.
And we do have a speaker scheduled for the June meeting, kind of out there a little bit, who's gonna speak on vermicomposting, so worm testing.
Has anyone ever used, like a horse tea? And since we don't have cows here, but there are some people with horses, just soak that and use the water. I've used that, but not regularly.
It'd have to be pretty dried out. You don't want it fresh poop.
No, I use the water.
Yeah, but I'm saying the poop itself needs to be decayed somewhat
Yeah.
before you try to do that.
And I would be worried about using horse manure, cause I used to have a bunch of horses and, you don't, depending on what you feed them, the type of hay you're feeding them, whether or not it's been sprayed with junk, I mean, it might not be organic if you're using horse feed. That's the same reason for cow manure. I would not use it. In fact, I saw bags of it down here at True Value yesterday. But they had chicken manure right next to it. Now that I would use, right? Cause I don't have chickens.
But why would you use the chicken manure, not the cow? I mean, can
Well-
their feed be sprayed as well?
Yeah.
It could be, but if you're feeding, there is chicken scratch that's organic, so you
Yeah.
can't feed them non-GMO organic chicken
Yeah.
scratch. And secondly,
Medina makes a product called Green and Grow. It
Uh-huh.
comes in about a 20-pound bag or 40-pound bag. It just smells just like chicken poop.
really,
It's really good.
okay, I have to
That's
look
what I
at that,
That's the problem though. How do we know we're getting something,
yeah.
a fertilizer that hasn't been
It's hard to
contaminated?
know.
I have heard the advice that if you're getting it from a source you don't know or you don't trust, get a pot, put it in there, plant a few bean seeds. If the beans grow well and the leaves look good, then it's probably okay. But if what the horses or cows ate had grazon or glyphosate on it, that, is a broadleaf herbicide, that those leaves on that bean plant will be shriveled and it'll be obviously not right.
Good enough.
Because they spray the grass with glyphosate or this broadleaf herbicide, that doesn't affect grass, won't affect corn, but it'll kill beans, it'll kill anything with a broadleaf, your tomatoes and stuff, so test a few, you know, buy it, test it.
On that note, so we are putting our garden in, our neighbors are, they love spraying for bugs, like pretty much once a month. A lot of pesticides and trees is, I cry every time I go out. But like, how, and we're doing raised beds, so I guess it's not gonna be as much of an issue as far as like getting into the soil, relative to our garden. Would you see any sort of issues? I mean,
On the day that they are spraying, are you downwind from them possibly?
Depends on the day, but usually
That
not.
would be my worst worry of
Yeah, but it can
contamination,
pick up on
or
the
if there's any
fungus and
water
stuff, too.
runoff from their property to yours.
Okay, I don't know, we're pretty much, yeah.
When it does rain.
I know, oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
Well, when it does rain, it comes so fast it washes it right off, so.
That's right, it's here and then it's gone.
That's right.
Okay,
I would
okay.
think wind and the water transfer.
Would be the more,
So probably just watch where you place the bed. You
yeah,
know, if it's further away from their
Downwind.
tree line or
okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, I know, I mean, we do spray the orchard, some of the things in the orchard, but we're very careful about what we use.
Yeah,
Because we do have raised beds right there, but,
I think they're doing the
pretty
orchid
close.
special.
But, to me, I think that would just be, you know, where you place your raised beds.
Okay, that makes sense, thanks.
Susie heard something about,
Yeah, on
related
that
to all this
note
recently.
about poisons, we all have that, to me, it's a false safety where we think it's all okay. But like in Roundup, and when I was master gardener years and years ago, Roundup's fine, once it dries, it's all fine. I'm like, no, you know, even the master gardeners were pushing it big time, and they're finding all this stuff out. The guy yesterday at Rainbow Gardens, he was talking about tomatoes, but he was big science, I mean, you could tell he knew his stuff. And he said that there is something called neonicotinoids they're also known as neonics. But that's what all of the big box stores are using on their plants. So if you go into Home Depot or all of these big box stores, because people don't want holes in their leaves and stuff like that, and they start putting these things in at seed, and it grows into the plant. And the problem with it, he said, have you noticed any butterflies over here? You know, whatever he was talking about. It kills the insects like the butterflies and the bees and the pollinators.
It's killing our
The pollinators. And it actually, the effects include difficulty navigating for the bees, learning and foraging, suppressed immune response, lower sperm viability, shortened lifespan.
We need to stop
Lifespan.
buying their plants. This
Well,
is
that's just to
terrible.
bring it up, so we know, lifespan of the queens and reduces the number of new queens. So we're doing this, and they don't tell them, and sometimes they advertise that it's a good thing, you know, we use neonicotinoids or whatever. So just, you know, and in some countries, they've banned this stuff, the EU banned it, the three main ones, but our states are taking care of us in the United States, they've restricted it a little bit on 2 or 3 of them. But be careful what we're buying, and how do you know? You know, like I said, this guy's saying it, and I asked him to spell it for me because I couldn't even understand it. And so when I did the research, I pulled this up, and you go, you know, you don't know what you're buying when you're buying it, and it starts from the seed, and it's all into the plant.
So you're saying this is an insecticide that was injected or
Yeah,
somehow
and it's
in the
under a lot of
seed.
different
So it's a
names.
systemic something.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
it's
really
kinda like
designed
the,
to kill our pollinators.
yes. And decrease the viability of the sperm, and I mean, you think about it, it's just a bee. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
that's
yes.
where we get our food. So, but,
I ordered heirloom seeds this year, and I probably won't have any tomatoes or anything, cause I don't know what I'm doing, but I've started them, and they're heirloom seeds though. And so I'm gonna try a garden with And it's very hard for me because I'm itching to go to the store and Rainbow and anywhere to
Well,
just go
Rainbow
buy me.
does have,
Rainbow should.
Well,
it's
Rainbow
fine,
is
it's
getting,
not
I
about.
think from the Georgetown farm, there's an organic, my son used to work at a Georgetown, I think it's called Gabriel's.
Uh-huh.
And they ship all over Texas, and it's really organic.
Yeah.
But I'm just worried that maybe once they get to the nursery, maybe they do.
I don't think they
I don't
do,
think
Rainbow
he
so.
was talking about it.
Okay.
And he
so-
was talking about
Say-
the blue stuff that we buy, and it's, you know, cause if we don't go organic, and I don't know how many of y'all, we can't tell you if you're gonna be Democrat or Republican, it's not, it's a choice. But if you don't go organic, you know, then you're gonna get what you get,
Mhm.
and, there's a lot of stuff, like I said, with the rainbow gardens, but the blue stuff, he kept going, oh no, you don't want this, it's got the,
Yes, yes, the blue stuff.
meaning like,
It's a
well,
particular
you can't
brand.
use
Right.
words, particular
A brand of
brands,
Plant food. That's blue.
those types of things, if it's not organic.
It's not organic though, if you're using it, you know.
Yeah.
It's better to use something the soil naturally gives us, is what I'm.
Like the worm poop tea.
Yes, the poop, but then the animal that you get the poop from has to be organic, otherwise you get the.
It's a cycle, definitely.
Yeah, but we know that it's junk in our food, there really is a lot of it.
Does anybody here save seeds to grow again?
But now I'm kind of like, I don't wanna use those seeds because I don't know what's in them, so this is the first
what
year.
do
Do you save seeds?
I buy heirloom seeds.
Only heirloom? That's what I'm trying to do, thank you.
And what's your experience with seed saving and growing from them?
Not good, just because of my lifestyle.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, cause you're the one who goes between the two homes.
Yeah, they don't get watered consistently and, I have a new question, and if we're ready to move on. So I've been here a year, I came and visited the property February 14th of last year, and I remember certain bushes blooming, I already had
Not laurels.
beautiful flowers on them, and I have this one huge bush/tree. It looked like a wisteria, you know, like the green.
Purple flowers.
Yeah, beautiful purple
Native.
flowers.
Like grape.
They're native.
Well, I have a lot of mountain laurels too, but they're definitely not flowering right now.
Nothing's
Really
happening
dying
just
back.
Not yet, the San Antonios are blooming though.
But this one beautiful bush, I'm afraid I might have killed it. I'm learning all these things. I mean, one thing, you know, I was told ash. Oh, you should put ash, you know, don't, but then, somebody has, there was some decaying wood and it had creosote in it, you know, like a old picnic table and, you know, and anyway, the ash from burning that, which nearly killed me, and I was wheezing, and it's not good to burn, so I'm gonna find another way to dispose of this wood. But I'm all traumatized right now, thinking I killed my favorite flowering tree.
What color does it flower?
Is it,
I thought it had purple flowers.
But it's not a Texas sage,
Well, I have a lot of those too.
You have pictures? Do you have pictures of your tree?
Next time, bring it.
Next time I'll,
Take a
yes.
picture and bring it.
Yeah, I'll,
But you
yeah.
said you had the iNaturalist app, right? On your
Yes.
phone? You should be able to figure it out.
I took a picture of it last year, so
I have that app too.
yeah. So, anyway, I'm just like, did I kill, you know,
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to, and also I'm like, is this tree dead? My neighborhood is going, they wanna do a cleanup and I know like live oak, I think right now
They drop their leaves.
is a bad, yeah,
Real bad,
March.
real bad.
Yeah. And they drop their
Anyway,
leaves.
there's a
Yeah.
certain type of time of year where you're not supposed to do any trimming.
Right. certain trees.
Yes. And because of the oak wilt, and
It's too late to trim them now.
okay.
It has to be in the winter,
There you go,
like
okay.
really freezing
Or if
January.
you do trim them, make sure you immediately spray them within like 30 seconds
With that black,
with whatever, it doesn't matter what color paint.
okay.
It can be
Uh,
paint, yeah, it
just
doesn't have
paint.
to be that insecticide.
And it says anything larger than the size of a nickel.
But generally, it's better to do it when it freezes, like in
Yeah.
January.
Because
Yeah.
oak wilt is really bad.
Yes, yes. And I'm just wondering if that's what has occurred on the property? Is-
Oak wilt will stick with oak wilt,
Most oak wilt
It-
comes through the roots instead of
Right,
insect.
right.
so it's not
And
an
it
oak
takes
that
years,
you're
I
talking
think,
about.
for the tree to die.
Yeah, so
And
that
then-
shouldn't, it shouldn't, unless it's an oak tree, but it shouldn't affect it.
Well, I have a lot of trees.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
If you want an oak tree.
right now, I'm like, what's going on? Why can't I see my neighbor's house? I don't wanna see my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Where's my, where are my bushes? They're,
There's a lot of persimmon trees out and they're bare right now. And so it looks dead, but if you go and try to bend
Right.
the branches and they're bendy rather than snap, then they're naked right now and they'll put their clothes on in a bit.
anyway, so it's obvious, our trees are not, filling out in our bushes. It's taking a little bit longer this year, so what,
Well, we
That
haven't
might-
had water
It's-
for
yeah,
a long
check
now,
April.
and
April
April
will
was
be
super
better.
cold for 2 winters, so, they've been really abused naturally.
And they used to say, don't burn, if your trees had oak wilt, I don't know if they still do that, say
Oh, yeah.
that you don't wanna burn trees
It has
that
to
have
lay, it
oak
has to
wilt.
lay on the ground for at least 2 years
Yeah.
before you burn it, and believe me, because 90% of my oak trees died.
Yes, but I have
What
seen.
if
Because my neighbor across the street built a beautiful house and then trimmed all his trees in the middle of the freaking summer.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Yeah, and it went right under the road.
What if the oak tree is stood for 3 or 4 years dead?
It's dead.
Yeah,
You
you
just
don't
cut
have
it
to lay it
down.
on the ground though, right?
I mean, but they slowly go down to the ground and, over
Yes.
fences and
Yeah.
things like
Well, I saw
that.
that happen on Bunkgate. They took down all those trees
Yes.
and then they were doing burning piles, and it was in the summer. And I was like, that's obviously oak wilt, and they say that it just, the smoke from dead oak.
A lot of people aren't
Yeah.
aware, that,
Yeah.
They don't
when
know.
they come to this area, they don't know.
They say you shouldn't use it for firewood either
No.
in your house.
No, I do all the time. I do
Well,
all the
after,
time.
how long is it
Yeah,
been?
but they've been laying on the ground for 3, 4, 5 years.
Right,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what we just
Yeah.
talked
We
about, yeah.
changed
Yeah.
them up and
What I
bought a
saw
log
was,
splitter.
what I saw was fresh trees.
Oak wilt's a fungus, it's gotta be an alive tree.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we burn it. And my question, right quick, so my sister was, planting, getting potato seeds, to plant, potatoes to plant. And she said rolling it in ash actually helps it, once you plant it. Has
Well,
anybody
you
else
you
ever
leave
heard
it
that?
set out in the sun for a couple of days is the same thing, just so it crushed over
Mhm.
the cut,
Okay,
or it looks white, then you can plant it.
okay. Cause I was saving the ash from my fireplace this, last month and thinking, I'm gonna see if I can, I just don't see, do you have to wet them and then roll it? Cause it seems to me they wouldn't stick.
You don't need to do that.
Okay,
Just
all right.
dry them in the sun.
I'll tell her to hush.
Otherwise, it might rot. Okay, it's about 12:15 now, so we're gonna start to wind up. Sheila, do you wanna talk about, a little bit about teaching garden?
Just that we finally got our approval, yippee, and, we're making a Santa's list, actually. We're breaking down every project down to the nuts and bolts, everything that we need, so that it's crystal clear, what the cost is. We had just kind of, guesstimated earlier, and, so our focus is on fundraising, a rain bucket type first, is just, whenever, like these guys, not specific just yet, but later as we get closer to, putting this into reality, then we'll need a table, we're gonna need some different things, so hopefully we'll have donors that'll speak up specifically for that. So just heads up, the March 23rd is gonna be really helpful for us. And, if you're interested, I have kind of some few documents to show what we're putting together, or if you have any questions. Susie and I are the leads on that, and, Karen, Mary Alice, Deb, we're all on the think tank for this. So it's been a blast working with these folks, and we've got some really good ideas, finally to get off the ground, because we've got our approval. So thank you for the library for doing that.
Hey Sheila, are you gonna sell those things at the market next month?
I only have 3 left. I hope they're gonna go away today.
Oh, I was gonna say, that would be, whoever makes them for you, she could probably get a table as free.
Well, but we're learning a little bit about fundraisers, and if we do it this way right now, it doesn't count as a fundraiser for the library. So we have some new rules to go by.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cause Sheila's selling them,
yes.
and then she's gonna make the donation to the teaching garden,
Yes, yes.
so it's.
Okay.
And I don't wanna wear it, I mean, she's been sewing these, she made about 8, so, I have 3 left.
Can you tell us a little bit, I kinda missed everything on the
Please.
teaching garden.
Oh,
It's for children, did you say?
Well, we're gonna,
Is it for everyone?
the 2 buildings up here, which are storage and a roof, that's gonna be our classroom. So we can take care of future with young kids, but also those of us that are young at thought, you know? But we're going to, first off, the most serious contribution is water catchment off of the roof of that building. But we're also gonna demonstrate 2 other, water, conservation methods with wicking, a saturation level and a horse trough, setting, and then we'll have, those are the aspirations. Then, you know how people go, oh, that's a neat idea, but I can do it cheaper. That's your inspiration. And then there's people who have that ingenuity who goes, oh man, I got this, I'm gonna do something really cool. So we're gonna try to show 3 different levels of how to grow whatever. We'll have, edibles, native plants, because we have an interest there as well. So in front of those buildings is a nice area that we can have a table, we can actually have had this meeting out there maybe. And then the demonstration part of it is those items are out there so people can stop by. There'll be appropriate signage to explain what we did. And then as we move on, our educational programs, more to hands-on as well, like our propagation questions that came up today, we can actually do it out there. So it's a teaching and demonstration.
That's gonna be awesome.
Classroom garden is gonna be a nice place to sit in the afternoon, free Wi-Fi.
And that's just the first phase.
Yeah, that's right, I love
That's
it,
just the
that's
first
right.
phase. There's big plans,
So
right?
y'all bringing speakers out and stuff like that?
We have them here monthly.
Monthly.
Yeah, we
Yes.
usually have a speaker on this monthly meeting.
The 4th Saturday of every month.
I'm so appreciative that you all are doing
Yes,
Saturdays.
thank you
We
all.
changed it for you.
I know,
Yeah.
and I'm coming to everyone. I would just like to be there.
Although I have to say, our Thursday people, I haven't seen them, so
Oh,
there's.
So you have meetings on Thursdays too?
We
Those are
used
the ones
to.
I've been
We used to.
missing?
We used to.
So it's just at the end of the month?
Saturday. 4th Saturday.
It was
I was
hard for
gonna
people who work to make it, and
Yes.
you really want the younger people to come.
Yes.
And
Right?
if you want it,
Yes.
you can always go onto the library website and then click the Lakehills Garden Club. It'll give whatever's
Yeah.
going on and who the speaker's gonna be and things like that.
It's right at the top to the far right.
Right.
I met a gentleman, off of 46 in, he's right past Bergheim, I guess. But anyway, he's from California and he's on the water board for Comal County.
Oh, I know, Larry said rabies.
Yes.
They
Rabies.
presented here.
He
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna suggest him because he's amazing.
Yeah, we all love
He's
them.
been here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't they
And
present
his
you?
talk
y'all
is
y'all
on
are
our
on him.
website.
But
I mean,
He's awesome.
they presented here, the 2 of
The 2
them,
of them.
and they've also been to our house and your house, I know, to help us, and they were here to size the water catchment. So we're relying on expert
Have you been to
testimony.
his place?
Not to his
We've
place,
been
although
invited though.
we've been
It's
invited,
amazing.
right?
You should go
Just
do it.
like a field trip
It's
or
amazing. I
something.
spent this.
Yeah,
That's
so he's
amazing.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
And he's so kind to
we
share.
have a YouTube channel. if you search YouTube for Lakehills Garden Club,
My
something like
goodness,
that, and
we are.
we tried video
That's awesome.
every presentation. We didn't at the very beginning of last year, but I think about since the bee guy, I think since Richard, we've tried to videotape. Now, the last one that we had is not on there yet, cause
Oak Wilt.
Tony had,
The oak wilt one.
yeah, we did the oak wilt. I saw him at Home Depot in Bernie the other day.
He does bees too, you know.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice kid. Anyway, just if y'all wanna go out and look at previous presentations, you can.
So it's called the Lakehills Garden Club.
Lake Hills Library Garden Club.
Library area?
No, no area.
We're gonna take a minute to do the drawing for prizes. Did everybody get a ticket? Who wants a ticket?
And yours is over there, this your number.
You get one?
Yes, but where did I put it?
Where is it?
Oh, no, I have
Yeah,
it
the
there.
names are on the other side.
Okay.
Probably still is
We don't have a small child in.
Very stickery.
Sheila Harris.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna relinquish that and let the drawing go.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Some attention's growing.
goodness.
Denise.
Now, I won the quilt, okay?
That's
I won the quilt, so I feel guilty, so I'm gonna throw it back and let it try one more time. How many times can we
I
pass
haven't
it?
won anything yet.
I know, it's really weird.
You're up.
Terry Akers.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yay.
Choose your prize. And the vote is some other names.
What's that thing right there?
That's nothing.
Oh, okay.
That's a fancy bunch of note cards.
Oh, no cards, okay, gotcha.
And Nelson.
Oh, there we go.
Gardening mom.
Do we have any other official business here today?
No, I'd just like to remind people to, if you want a vendor spot, you wanna sell something, please sign up. I've got a diagram there of where we're setting up tables. You have to bring your own tables. And if you're not underneath this covered part on the back porch, if you're gonna be over there, you need to bring your own canopy.
So we will be under the covered part.
You can be.
You are, yes. You're right outside this door.
Is this gonna be the plant sale? My neighbor's asking about
Yeah,
that.
and we're gonna have the plant sale, which is gonna be up there by where she was talking about the teaching garden. That'll be tables set up to sell plants and take donations.
And we're hoping to have plants, seedlings that are
23 March.
vegetables, maybe
It's
some
the
flowers,
fourth
herbs,
Saturday.
decorative plants, whatever.
We also have, we had a tree dedication today and in honor of one of our board members, and so we gave away, they're pollenless, sunflowers. They grow rather tall, but they have nectar and the bees and everybody loves them. So if you would like, there's 5 seeds in there, so if you'd like to take one, please do. We have some left over.
I'm first in line.
And if you have a beautifully designed name tag, please leave it here and we'll have it for you next week.
I know you are. There's seeds there. Not
They find out because they're always supposed to be.
Okay, here's,
Thank you, everybody.